Hi there, welcome to the Loose Painting Art Journal. Last week we drew loosely, and that works, but it doesn't always click for everyone. Sometimes it's easier just to skip the drawing and go straight into the shapes with paint. We're starting with some gouache, a vase from my studio, and some fake flowers on the end of pens. I won't be arranging them and I won't be drawing them, so let's get painting. So I'm just going to use some gouache and I will add some details with some pencil crayons after. And I'm just going to loosely shape it. I'm going to actually make my vase a little narrower and longer. And as you notice, I am just painting the shape, nothing but the shape. It doesn't have to be pretty. The uglier it is, the better. Just make a neutral little table. And you don't have to make a table if you don't want to. I just always feel it's not finished if I don't. Now, a lot of times I will actually put a color on the background, and we'll do that maybe in the next episode. Just gonna switch to a little cat's tongue. And that's a brush with a little point on the end. Let's start with one of these. I'll link all of the supplies that I'm using below. Some of them are affiliate links and I may receive a small commission at no extra cost to you. So I'm just simply going to look at the outside shape and I'm just going to, there. So see the outside shape? All I did was just make a shape that looked like the outside. I didn't look at all the little leaves, nothing like that. I think the purple's going to go right here. And I'm just dulling down these colors with a little bit, if you notice, this was a palette that I used for gouache. I might grab a little blue and white to make it more lavender. So do you see how that looks more like that? And don't get me wrong, it does not have to look like that. So I think I'm going to hold this one. We'll put this one right here. So all I'm doing, I'm just kind of letting the brush work with me. If you notice, I'm starting with the tip. Oh, make sure you have water in your gouache. Starting with the tip and letting it do the work. Let's get this nice white one. And it's more like a greeny, yellowy white. Almost creamy, but you can see that kind of green in the middle, like it's quite dark. So I'm going to make the middle right here. And this probably isn't the brush for this. Not that it matters, I could paint it with that. I'm just trying to show you what different brushes can do. I think we will use a filbert, and a filbert is just rounded at the end instead of it being flat straight across. This looks more like a peony, not a rose. And I'm just basically blocking in the flowers first, just to give an idea of where they're going to be. And then I can kind of edit them as I go. I want that to be nice and big. And that's a nice thing. You're the artist, you get artistic license. You can make things bigger, smaller, you can do whatever you want. Now, I love this little baby. I think this little baby is going to be right here. And that has a pretty brown center. So it's quite big. So I'm going to, I think I want him to be down here a little. Now that's got quite a bit of water in it, but that's okay because we will dry it once we're ready to move on. All right, so now we need some yellow, and I'm going to start with a darker yellow. I'm going to put a little orange in it. Now this is going to be, it has a lot of petals, but they're just like this. Actually, I want them even darker for the back. So, and that's all I'm worried about. I'm just worried about that. Oh, my yellow's in bad shape, isn't it? Let me get some of that going on the outside there. So if your gouache is like that, if it's dried out and it's a bunch of little tiny lumps, it's probably better to mix it first with a toothpick or something once you add some water, because it's hard to kind of blend it out. But that's okay because, so I'm using the side, no, I'm not using it flat, I'm using the side. Oh, and that's okay. That'll dry and we can fix it. Oh yeah, that brown was way too wet, but that's not a big deal. That'll actually help add to the depth of the flower. Okay, so that's the back of the flower. And as you can see, it's good and ugly. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for ugly. I think I want a nice bright yellow, something like that. Maybe here in the background. Let's just take a boo. Kind of peeking out. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. So let's start with, and this is nice and bright. So again, I'm just going to do the round shape, right? So it's just shows some little petals like that, like a pom-pom. So now we have 5 flowers. It's always better to keep it odd numbers. Now I think we're ready. I'm just going to pick up some of this. That was quite a bit. Okay, I'm just going to quickly give it a little dry with my hairdryer. So that's our first layer. Now, I don't want too many layers. We're going to do another layer of paint and then we're going to add some mark making on it and we should be done. Let's go back to our black. I just want a little strip right there at the bottom. I want a little strip right here. Okay, green, and that can come there and there. And you're not going to see a lot of green anyway. So I want to take the white. Now my white is not bright white. I'm going to make it warm. And then I'm just going to start with my lines. I'm going to go 1. So I'm treating the lines 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just going to, and again, doesn't have to be exactly the same, doing the bigger sections. Now these are coming out a little too perfect for me. So if I go a light one here and one there. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my straight down lines like this. I'm going to switch brushes. This little cat's tongue isn't the best for that. Here's a nice little, and this is the thing, when you're painting bigger shapes, use bigger brushes. If you're moving to smaller shapes, it's okay to move to a smaller brush. Just don't start with smaller brushes. I love this gouache. There, see how much easier that is with a smaller brush? And it doesn't have to be perfect. And I mean, you could do this any way you want it to. If you want it to start with the light, you could have put the black on top as well. But I just kind of do whatever I feel like doing at the time. And that always seems to work well for me. I just trust my instincts. So right now my gouache is a little thin, but I'm really just kind of getting the base down. So let's just go back over that. And if you're trying to paint over dark with gouache, you should be using thick paint anyway. I'm just not worried about it. Okay, and I'm going to take this white right here. There we go, against the bottom. And again, they're going to be stripes. And you can use any color you like. I'm just kind of trying to stay a little bit true to show you where my whole ideas are coming from. While I'm there, I'm going to paint a few of these highlights, and it really is kind of a creamy tone. All I'm doing is just looking at the shapes. I think I'm going to actually have him behind. And just, I'm taking some of the greeny that was kind of in the middle and lightening it a little, and just there. You know what? He's almost done. Let's just take a nice yellow. Now we'll get the yellow center. Perfect. Now I'm going to move to the outside behind ones first. And if you look, there's some really light tones, and I'm not trying to copy this exactly. We know what that is. It's a flower. But I am going to get a little bit darker, just because if you look, see how I'm just putting some of that in? There. So that's just some shadow. I'm going to add some yellow, some white, maybe a smidge more yellow. And then I'm just going to there we go. I'm going to do the same with the yellow one. If you see, one is really, really bright, and it doesn't matter either one. I think I'm going to probably keep the really bright for the front one. It needs to be really light. So with gouache, lighter colors dry darker, and darker colors dry lighter. So you really have to exaggerate. Now, here comes the bright mauve, and I grabbed the black and stuck black there. I'm not quite sure why I did that. My poor little yellow flower, he's just not happy. So I'm just going to cover that up. I'm actually giving a little mix. I'm reactivating that dark that I put on. And now I'm going to go in and get that nice bright yellow. We'll probably have to do another coat on that. I'm going to do a base again first. I should be using my little brush. These little cat's tongue brushes are great. And I'm using it on the side so I get a thinner petal, or the little filberts. I'm not gonna get that as bright as I want, but that's okay. We will deal with that with some marks. There we go. So you get it a little thicker and it'll cover more, so not as much. Look at the difference once you switch the different type of brush. And this actually has a lot of petals, so we're not too worried about them overlapping. Then we're gonna get that nice burnt sienna. Now we're gonna dry that with the hairdryer and we'll do some mark making. Okay, so there we go, it's dry. Well, except for the center there, but that's okay. I'm just going to set this aside and we will grab some pencil crayons. I'm just gonna grab my Woomer pencil crayons. Love these. I'm gonna pick out a few colors. That's a nice dark. Let me see if the white's going to, oh yeah, the white. Okay, we'll take the white. Oh, that's a good yellow right there. Now, the biggest thing I'm going to start with is the actual vase. I'm just going to put a shadow under it, and I'm going to take the black and I'm not fixing any of my line work. I'm just simply accentuating what I already have there. So I don't want to fix anything. In fact, it's going to probably get messier, and that's okay. I've got a charcoal, I'm gonna put that over on the lighter side, and all I'm doing is just kind of roughly putting the pattern on. All right, I like that. Just going to just maybe go up in there some. So just to let that really peek out. So I love the shape. It is not true. It's wonky. So all I'm doing, do you see what I'm doing? There. I just drew some little petals on that, like, so just little loops. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Oh, I love that. So do you see how it looks loose? It's expressive, it's mark making, and you know what it is, but it's fun. Your rose, or peony, I'm pretty sure that's a peony. I'm just gonna put a little bit of that, and I'm just shapes. So all I'm doing is I'm not looking at the tiny details, I'm looking at the overall shape of that section. Let's actually go in with the white. I want that to actually be over top of that. So let me, there we go. And you could have made that any color, it wouldn't have mattered. And if that, you could have actually blotted that out with some gouache before we started this, but it's all right. Okay, so let's look at this pretty one. So I'm just going to, do you notice how I am not going over where I painted? I am actually just, and when I draw, I'm back up here on the pencil. Don't do this. If you do this, you're going to follow. If you go back here, it's going to be wonky. And you don't have to do this drawing part by any means. I don't even call it drawing. I call it mark making, because really we're past that point. So did you see all I did? Just like almost when you're a kid. And I am going to, no, let's do a little darker. There, I did some around as well, like in the darker. And then, oh shoot, oh no, that was dry, okay. There. I'm just going to put some darker in here just to kind of help that pop. All I'm doing is in between those petals, I'm just adding a little bit. Same with here. And all I'm doing is just making marks. Maybe bring a mark out. So I'm just scribbling. All I'm doing is just scribbling some light where the dark is. So I'm just doing C's there. And I think I want to just lighten up the lighter side of this. So I'm just going to go like this. All I'm doing is following the white, not the black. Just making kind of V's in between and down. And then we'll do the line. But I'm not going to do it all the way over. I just kind of want it where the light would be hitting. The problem is I get doing this and I don't want to stop. The only other thing, if you can't get your petals there light enough to bump up, which I started with a pretty dirty yellow, you could easily just go back now that it's thicker, and you could just remember, you're the artist, you get to make the decision. And I will scribble back over top of that. This is what it's all about. Back and forth. And the trick to having these look finished, like finished artwork, is to put more than one layer on them. If you just have like one flat layer, you need something to spruce it up. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry, and then I will scribble over top of that again. Try, when you're doing it, try to keep the middle. I made the mistake of putting too much water in my paint and it ran into the yellow. So either wait for that to dry or make it thicker. Okay, little bit of the light. There we go. And a little bit of the scribbles. Bright yellow go right there. Dull that down. All I did was go over that. And I'm going to post the link to the first loose painting session for our show right here in case you haven't seen it. So go watch that next, and I'll see you over there.